Hi guys, this is Kicking It with Lupus. Today I will be talking about what to do when traveling with a chronic disease such as lupus, how you can plan ahead to make your trip more comfortable, or just different life or death concerns that you should take into consideration. So, on a serious note, let's talk about blood clots because, as you know, people with lupus are more susceptible to blood clotting. Even people who take birth control, and anybody who flies and sits for a long time, they run the risk of getting a blood clot. And blood clots, of course, lead to stroke, which can lead to death. So one of the ways that my doctors and I figured out to combat this was for me to start taking blood thinners a week before and during and then a week after my trip. Another way, they suggested that I get up every hour during my 12 or 13 hour flight. And I'm very appreciative for my wife because she had a little alarm set sitting right next to me and she kept waking me up so I can get up and walk around. Another concern that I had was whether or not I'd have access to foreign hospitals. There was obviously a language barrier because I went to Peru and I don't speak Spanish that well. And it was just an issue of figuring out whether or not my insurance here in the States would cover me in Peru. Unfortunately, a lot of people suggested that I should just get traveler's insurance. Well, I didn't qualify for any. No one wanted to insure me. So, I took a risk because I really wanted to go. And I researched their health care there, and I felt comfortable going without any health insurance because I knew I could afford care there, and I also researched what hospitals I was more likely to find English speakers at. Other things to take into consideration when you're traveling with a chronic disease is simply how are you going to take all your pills through the lines of the TSA screeners. So, I take about almost 30 pills a day, and most people recommend you bring the bottles with your names on them. Well, that wasn't going to work for me. But what I did do is I brought my big pill box. One of these videos I'll show it to you. It's huge. And I got a letter from my doctor, and I had my pharmacist print out all of my medications. So I had a letter explaining why I needed to take these, and I had a letter explaining exactly which medications they were. And I had no problem getting through TSA. Another thing you should consider is your safety. I suffer from lupus fog, and it's not uncommon for me to be in the car. I don't drive anymore. Let me make this point. I don't drive anymore. My wife drives me around, but it's not uncommon for me to be in the car about a block away from our home, and for me to all of a sudden look out the window and not recognize where I'm at, which is kind of scary when it first happens, but you get used to it. You take a second, you look around, you think about it, then you realize, okay, I know where I'm at. So it was a really big concern for me on this trip because I was going to be doing a lot of sightseeing on my own. And one of the ways that my wife and I felt comfortable for me to be able to go out and sightsee on my own was by creating little pieces of paper. And I would give them to the taxi drivers, and it would say exactly where I needed to go each time I was ready to go out and explore. That way I knew I would never forget which hostel I was staying in or which museum I was supposed to be at, and my wife knew exactly where I'd be and when I'd be there. Another thing that I created was a piece of paper with my name on it, an emergency contact. It explained that I had lupus, and basically that if I'm giving you this paper, please take me to the nearest hospital or clinic. And I carried that on me at all times. So the next thing I want to talk about is what to pack. If you're like me, you use a heating pad every single day. Sometimes, if I could, I'd use 3 or 4 heating pads at a time. But it was a big concern for me to go on this trip without a heating pad. The way I got around it was I used Hunter's hand warmers. and an ace bandage. So I'd pop open a pack of Hunter's hand warmers, put it, say, on my knees, wrap my knees up, and it worked just like like a heating pad. Thank you. I'm not my lupus fog. You just heard my wife whisper heating pad. Okay, so where am I at? Yes, ace bandage, heating pad works great. Save space instead of bringing your heating pads. Did I say that right? Okay. Okay, and finally, I decided to take my blood pressure machine. It's big, it's large, but for me, I'm having trouble controlling my blood pressure right now, so it was important for me to know where I stood in terms of my blood pressure while I was traveling. And there were days that it helped me realize, okay, today's a day I need to rest. Which brings me to my next point, fatigue. Traveling is so different for me and my family now. I think we said it in our intro video, usually we'd be skydiving or zip lining or something crazy on our trips. And this time I settled down. I laid back. A couple days I just stayed in the hotel and slept, especially if I saw my blood pressure was high. I just slept all day. And then I decided just to go the museum route, outdoor markets, very traditional traveling experiences, which was new for me, but nonetheless fulfilling. So, my suggestion is, if you feel up to traveling and your doctor agrees, and you go to work out a plan and you feel prepared, well, happy travels to you. Happy, safe travels. So this is Kicking It with Lupus, and I guess I will see you next time. Thank you.